Okay, so we've talked a lot about WB games on this channel, all right? We talked a lot about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. WB has specifically talked about how that game has unfortunately lost them a lot of money. There's been talks about the way they're changing up leadership at WB Games, and hopefully it would make for a better path forward. Sadly, there were some casualties along the way. We had the shutdown of Monolith, a 30-year studio, extremely unfortunate, and to me, it makes no sense for them to have done something like that. They also canceled the Wonder Woman game, that's a massive bummer. But we're all hoping, we're crossing our fingers that when the dust settles, once we get to the other side of all the bad, that hopefully that means that we're gonna get some sort of better path forward, that we're going to get more things like a Hogwarts Legacy that is a single player experience, rather than chasing trends, rather than, dumping live service projects on a developer's table where they might not necessarily be familiar with that type of game, or maybe they don't have the passion for that type of game. You would hope that after something like a Suicide Squad, there wouldn't be a lot of plans at WB Games for more live service projects, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the content here on this channel. Let's jump into the news that we got here today. We got an article from DualShockers with a headline that reads, Warner Bros. Is hiring for a DC Comics live service game. Now, a new DC game being made, it sounds good to me. I am looking forward to getting more DC games, that's for sure. Another live service DC game, I don't know about that. The article here mentions that despite the recent live service bombs in Warner Bros. And the industry as a whole, the company is going back to that well. A new job posting on the official Warner Bros. Website, as spotted by Tech for Gamers, has confirmed that the company is hiring for an executive producer for a DC Comics game with a role that needs to, quote, oversee post-launch content and live service strategy, ensuring ongoing player engagement. Yeah, that is a bit of a red flag to hear. We get a link from DualShockers that does post to the WB Montreal website. So while they mention in the article that this is from WB Games, it looks like it is specifically an executive producer role at WB Games Montreal. Here's where things get a little interesting though, okay? I got a blurb here from the job posting, which might have been updated since a lot of these articles have come out to try and steer people into a different direction or to not let the rumors go too wild. Or maybe there was some misreading here into what the job posting actually says. But for the new role of an executive producer at WB Montreal, the actual job posting states this. As an executive producer, you will lead the development of a high-quality AAA game based on one of the iconic IPs from the vast Warner Bros. And DC Comics catalog. You will oversee the vast production lifecycle from concept to launch and beyond, ensuring the game meets the highest standards of quality, innovation, and player engagement. You will work closely with the creative director and studio leadership to align creative vision and production realities, manage cross-functional teams, and ensure the project delivers on time, on budget, and to critical and commercial success. So the job posting here mentions that it's to work on an IP from the vast Warner Bros. And DC Comics library. Now, I don't know if that means that it's the Warner Bros. Owning DC Comics library, or if it's like a Warner Bros. IP or a DC IP. There was obviously talk at WB Games for a while that they want to focus on the main pillars of their IPs, like DC Comics, of course, Batman specifically being mentioned, Game of Thrones being one of those as well, and Mortal Kombat. We know NetherRealm has got the Mortal Kombat side of things. When it comes to the Batman talk, I mean, there's rumors that Rocksteady might be working on another Batman game. So maybe we're going to be getting something Game of Thrones here from WB Games Montreal. But again, what I'm reading here could also be interpreted as the job posting saying it is a DC Comics game and the DC stuff is owned by Warner Bros. Right now. But to the topic at hand, to what we're all here for, another live service, potential DC live service game. What are we doing here, man? There was so much talk about how much money Suicide Squad had lost WB Game. There was so much talk about, how much of a failure it was. There's some things that I like about it, obviously, but I didn't overall enjoy that game either. And so you would have hoped that going forward, we would have looked at that as what not to do. And we would have said, okay, maybe single player experiences are kind of the better return on investment here. Or if we're gonna have to get a multiplayer experience, I mean, maybe just have it be something co-op related. I don't know if live service is the way. However, there are a lot of people that are saying, we look at the success of Marvel Rivals, maybe they're going to try and do something like that, but for DC, it's just how do you really emulate that, and how do you do that from in-house studios? You know, are we going to be getting developers that have a passion for an idea like that, or are we really just slamming a game and an idea on the desk of somebody that isn't sure what to do with it? And, well, we just don't get the greatest product as a result. I know a lot of people also are speculating that maybe this could mean like a Justice League live service game, but aren't we just basically doing what Suicide Squad did, except now with a little more well-known IPs? Plus, I mean, even Marvel with the Avengers game, with the biggest IPs in the world right now. It was a game that I was like, there's no way this couldn't sell well because it's the Avengers. You know, even if the game was terrible, people are gonna buy it because it's Avengers. Even that game flopped. But we look at the landscape, we assess the terrain here. All signs are pointing towards do not make live service games. Don't do it. But we are going back to that well. So I really don't know what to expect here, but it does look like, based on the job posting, that in some way, shape, or form, they are hiring for this executive producer role to work on a live service game. Whether that live service game is for a DC brand or a Warner Bros. Owned brand, we don't know for sure just yet. So a lot of these reports that are saying it's going to be a DC live service game, I don't 100% think that's going to be the case, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see. It is nerve-wracking to see that this is the direction that we're going in for the games industry, especially after all the layoffs and studio shutdowns and game cancellations. I really would have hoped for just a safe bet, a nice single-player, story-driven game from one of the bigger DC brands, like a Superman game, would be great right now. And you know, there are a lot of people that are bummed out that Rocksteady might be going back to Batman, mainly because it seems like they're treading old ground. I get that, but for me, Rocksteady working on Batman is an exciting proposition on its own, and also them just going for something safe, something that they're familiar with, something that they know they can execute on. That's kind of the right idea after you put out something like Suicide Squad that isn't received well critically and financially. So if they need that safe bet, if they need that net to say, okay, you know what, this is going to be a bona fide hit, then we can try something different afterwards. Go for it. With WB Montreal, I mean, Gotham Knights wasn't particularly a success either. There were some reports that said it did break even, or it broke a slight profit, but obviously it wasn't a massive success like WB Games, I imagine, would have hoped. So them just jumping into a live service game is kind of crazy, in my opinion. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Only time will tell. We still got a long ways, I imagine, until we even know what this game is, if it even gets further into development before they just shut things down at WB Games. And I don't mean like shut the studio down. I mean just say, okay, hey, we don't really want to do this live service thing. Let's scrap that and work on something else. Game development is such a crazy process. There's so many moving parts, so you never expect what's going to get the full green light, what's going to go into full production versus what was an idea that we drew up some concept art for, but really couldn't get out the door. But with that being said, I mean, let me now kick it to you guys, I guess. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's try to be civil, okay? What do you think about the possibility of WB Games working on another live service project, and that live service project potentially being based on one of the DC IPs? What do you think, if they are making a DC live service game, it could be based on? Do you think it'd be something like Justice League, Teen Titans? I don't really know. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments. Or do you think we're gonna get DC rivals? I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.